Hey everyone, this is Walter, and I'm back here with something I've covered maybe once in my YouTube career, but it's a subject that annoys the hell out of me. Reddit entitled Parents is the place to post any stories you may have about people who think they should get special privileges simply because they have kids. Which is absurd. Lots of people have kids and manage to not act like this. So of course it would annoy someone like me. Well anyway, let's get started with stories from Reddit entitled Parents. Entitled Mother yells at me for watching a horror film. If you think you've seen this before, you likely have, as this was posted in Reddit Am I the Asshole, but I was told it belonged here, so here goes. One of my usual subjects. Probably not going to be the asshole if it's posted here too. I cannot actually believe this has happened. I'm still in shock because I do not understand what this lady was thinking. So it's the Easter holidays for me, which means I, 15 male, am home alone every day, as I don't have school. And just like everyone else, I get so bored when I'm home alone. But I am an avid horror movie fan and decided that I should spend my time catching up on a few of the films on my Netflix playlist to pass the time. Yesterday I started watching Fear Street. In order to understand, you need a bit of background. The way my house is laid out, there is a large window that means that anyone walking by on the street can see anything that is being played on the TV, and I hate that it's laid out like that because it makes me feel like I get absolutely no privacy. With that in mind, yesterday I was watching a horror film with the curtains open, which means that anyone walking by could technically peer in and see what I was watching. I was chilled and frankly having a lot of fun, because it's a good film, not too gory or cliche. It was more sexual in my opinion. I hadn't realized, but a couple of kids playing on the street were passing by, and clearly they had peered in during a bloody scene because an old woman had knocked on the window. And when I looked back at her, she pointed to my TV, then at me, and then at my door. I think my first mistake was just shrugging and drawing the curtains because at the time I had no clue her kids had seen what was on the TV and I assumed she was mad about something or other. At some point the knocking against my window stopped and I thought nothing of it. Yeah, I already can't. I'd be outside investigating. To be fair, they'd have to be inside my fence to knock on my window, and at that point they're already annoying the shit out of me. But then, this morning I woke up to the doorbell ringing and my mum, who was about to leave for work, answered it. Whoever was at the door spoke to her for maybe 10 minutes and then she came upstairs, shook me awake and told me to go downstairs and talk to the person at the door. Turns out it was the woman, arms crossed with two little boys stood behind her. I don't remember what she was yelling entirely, but to paraphrase, she was annoyed that I was watching such a film with the curtains open and her children fully able to see it as they ran by. See, here's my dilemma. Because as she yelled at me, I tried to tell her I was sorry her kids saw what I was watching, but I was watching what I wanted in my own house, and I did not feel it was her issue that her children had stopped and must have physically looked at what I was watching, because if they had just been running by, they would not have been able to clearly see the scene. But she did not listen and instead kept reprimanding me, calling me careless and disgusting. She left and my mom and I stared at each other with confused faces. My mom is on my side, thinking that looking inside our house is a privacy violation, but I'm not so sure. I've started drawing the curtains when I'm downstairs and watching anything that isn't rated U, but I don't know if I was in the wrong. Am I the asshole for not drawing my curtains in the first place? Hey, if she called the cops, they'd just tell her not to look into people's houses, right? Imagine the audacity of knocking on this door to complain the next day. Do have to wonder if she'd behave the same way toward me as when it's a teenager. A couple of edits based on frequent questions/comments. My TV is quite far away from the window, so someone passing by at a normal walking speed would only be able to make out colors, shapes, faces, and some subtitles that I need, so in order to get a good, high-res look, you'd need to stand on my front garden, which is covered in pebbles, so I'd be able to hear someone walking. I have no idea how the kids got a good look without standing on the rocks. In my opinion, my mom had woken me up to get a better recount, since perhaps the woman's account was not accurate, or didn't sound like something I'd do. I have no clue. The film had 2 sex scenes at the start. Saying that it was more sexual than gory is because there was hardly any gore in it. Just more spooky. My apologies for that. I should have made it 10 times clearer. I would have watched the film in the dark if it weren't for my hatred of the dark and terror of being home alone, haha. I was watching the second Fear Street, 1978, not the one with the bread slicer, and I was only halfway through it, maybe 40 minutes or so. Edit 2, I do have one gripe, and I'm going to ask this politely for you not to talk badly about my mother, as I don't have an issue with her, and I am not asking whether she is the asshole in this situation. Well, you can't really control who Reddit talks about, but I have no interest in talking about the OP's mother, so we can skip that paragraph. I'm not sure what the woman was thinking. Looking into your window was a violation of you. I don't think your mom did any wrong either. She just wanted clarification. That woman was crazy. Exactly. The crazy lady violated your privacy by looking in your window. Watch whatever you want with the window open. Heck, I'd do it about the same time every day. I don't understand people. What is done in my own house is my business. I'd say even if her demeanor was calm, which it obviously wasn't, this is still completely unhinged behavior, and having kids with you doesn't make it any less weird or creepy. I would have said this is a good teaching moment for your kids to mind your business. And this subreddit also has a lot of OPs posting about their own terrible mothers, which is also a good subject. Entitled Birth Mother Makes Me Homeless. I figured I should post this story since a lot of my friends and chosen family can't believe how this person acted. Now a little backstory about me. I found out when I was 18 that I was adopted by my grandparents, and that my birth mother was the reason why I've had these health issues since birth. What I was told, she was a heavy drug addict and drank alcohol a lot while pregnant with me. A couple of years after I was told, I still saw my adopted mom as the only mother figure I will ever have. I did try to find more information out of curiosity since I had other siblings, but I struggled to find them and gave up. Eventually, I received a random message on a social media platform, and they claimed to be my younger sister and that they'd been trying to find my father, aka my grandpa, and us for years and would like to get together. After asking specific questions, we realized that this wasn't a scammer, and it was who they claimed they were. It all went well for the first 5 months of us all interacting and having visits, but after that she begged my father to live with us, claiming that the younger sibling of mine wanted to be alone with her fiancé, etc. Well, she was soon moved in and it went okay at first, but she immediately started to overstep and acted like she was the head of the household. She would throw fits if I didn't clean up after her or do all the chores on my own in the house. Granted, I didn't mind, but the apartment we were in at the time was big and there were 5 adults in the house. Well, she didn't like that I kept talking back, when all I would want is to meet in a middle ground. Eventually, we tried to just keep everything separated. I had to handle my half of the apartment, and she had hers on the opposite side, and the dishes we each used will need to be washed. We even separated groceries, which was the first time I had to even get any support in this from social services. Not even 3 months in, and she started to complain to the landlord about the situation. Now why the landlord, you ask? Well, because she was really good friends with my family, and my birth mother knew this. I will give her little props for trying to help us mediate on the family issues. But my birth mother always overstepped and even tried to act like I should treat her like she was always here for all these years. She knew that I was never comfortable with calling her Ma or seeing her in that light from day one. That my adopted mom was mom to me and that no one else was ever going to take her place. Regretfully, my past was always used against me in these situations with the landlady. She never saw the things I improved on since being in my teens. To put some perspective, I was a rebellious teen, and with having to deal with bullying in school, which led to physical violence, I became very suicidal and had severe depression on top of unresolved trauma from the issue that had occurred back in New York City in 2001. I'm not going to name it here since I understand the triggers. Wait, are we talking about 9/11? Because I think the idea is to not forget it. My family was living very close proximately at the incident, and despite being little, I remember a lot from that day and the days after that. Okay, so this mother is going to use drugs and drink through her entire pregnancy and then give up the child. And she thinks she can come back and claim the moral high ground because the child has behavior problems that she probably caused? What utter garbage. Anyhow, the landlady said she is tired of these issues always happening and she is exhausted of me not getting along with my birth mother. If I couldn't get along with her, well, I was being kicked out. Not long after my conversation with her, she called me and told me to get out. She had spoken to the birth mother and said that I wasn't doing any progress. Thanks to some of my chosen family, I was able to secure a couple of days at a motel nearby to figure things out from there. This incident showed me how cruel a blood family can be. It sometimes makes me sick to know that I have her blood in my veins. And before anyone asks, yes, my father tried to interfere, but I swear she played her victim card and manipulated my poor dad in her favor. This had happened a few years ago, and I'm in a better place and she's long gone now. I just figured I'd post this since she radiated entitled parent behavior. If anyone has ever been in a situation like this, please don't submit yourself to do what you are told to keep the peace. Whenever you have a safe space to go, leave as soon as you can and you'll live a happier life. And don't be afraid to cut people out of your life. It hurts and it will feel lonely, but your mental health will thank you for it. Yeah, this woman will keep screwing the OP over as many times as she allows it to happen. Good that the, relationship has already been severed. But it's a shame these other people let this happen. Oh, it would appear that the mother is dead now, which doesn't really make me or the OP very sad. Said she was bitter till the very end. One more story about a horrible mother today, and it's also about trans issues, which we cover here sometimes. My mother does not accept that I am a man. Hello everybody. I hope you are well. As you can see from the title, I have a serious problem and I don't have anyone to share it with. To put it in context, I, male 26, am a trans man, which my mother, female 57, never accepted. She always said that I was confused and that it was all in my head, and she tried everything to prove it. Churches, psychologists, medicine, and many other things I prefer to forget. What's worse is that as much as I stood my ground about who I was, she always brushed it off and said I was crazy. Then she tried her final card. She dragged me on a date with a man who was definitely older than I was. It was too much for me. That same night I moved out of my mother's house and moved in with my godfather, where I finally found the support I needed and was able to become who I really am. Enough with the explanations, and let's get to what happened. 3 days ago or more, I was invited by my aunt to see the arrival of my youngest cousin. I didn't want to go at first because I knew it would be an event that the whole family would go to. Though that would include my mother, but my fiancé, 28, who I'll call Joshua, said it would be a great opportunity for him to be properly introduced to my family. Just to be clear, I never told him about this situation with my mom, as it's a part of the past I really want to forget. So I agreed to go there. Well, at first everything was going well. I met my cousin, who is so cute. I introduced my boyfriend, who everyone showed up liked him, but nothing was going to be okay forever. My mom had finally arrived, and believe me, she literally ignored everyone at the party to come up to me to complain about what I've done to my body. It was stressful. She kept saying that I had ruined my body, but that I still had a concert and that I should go back to her house so she could fix me. I said no, and that this was not the time for that, which advice she ignored. Man, I don't know what it's like to be trans, obviously, but I do know what it's like to be a man, and if people decided to suddenly call me a woman to my face constantly, I'd probably feel obligated to beat their ass. I understand you can't just haul off and strike your mom, but I definitely have to do something about it, cause fuck this shit. It was so stressful that I couldn't take it anymore, and I started to grab my things to leave, but then Joshua butted in saying, "Hey, I won't let you talk to him like that. Unlike you, I love him regardless of gender." I love him so much for it, but what happened next left me furious. My mother, who never likes to be crossed, smacked Joshua across the face as she screamed that it was a mother-daughter matter. I don't remember what I did, I just remember pulling Joshua behind me and yelling at my mother a lot. I don't remember what I said to her, I just blew up everything I had to say to her. When I realized it, I was already being pulled by Joshua to the car. He had to drive as I was in such a depressed state that I couldn't drive. When we got home, I finally broke down. I started crying inside the house. I was so desperate that I started to say that my mother was right and that I would never be a real man. To which my fiancé didn't respond very well. He grabbed me by the collar and said something that made me love him even more. "Listen here, big boy. You are a man. My man. And if you dare to doubt yourself again, I'm going to spank you." I know, he threatened me. But believe me, he's not violent. I've known this man for 8 years, and he never raised his voice to anyone unless it was necessary. And in terms of strength, I'm 6 feet tall. Always I've been a tall person since childhood, which my mother always hated because it made me less feminine. And for fun I do bodybuilding and boxing. I'm literally all muscle, so any physical threat from him is lip service. And as for my family, half of my relatives say I owe an apology for what I said to my mother, when I don't even remember what I said, and the other half say I was right to show her the reality. I really don't know what to do with them. Now I only know 2 things. That I'm going to marry the love of my life, and that my mother certainly won't be invited to the wedding. Update. Hello, I wanted to bring you this little update. So there you go. This afternoon I will be talking to my mother. She said she wants to apologize to Joshua and me. I don't believe her, but I want to hear what she has to say. In any case, I will be recording with my phone. Joshua didn't agree at first, but he said he's only going to protect me from her. He's already filed an assault complaint and will soon file for a restitution order. Even if she apologizes genuinely to us, which I doubt a lot, Joshua will continue with the complaint. That's not up to me. She hit him, so it's his decision. I just know that in any case, I will support Joshua with decision. P.S. I showed Joshua all your comments talking about how amazing he is. And congratulations, you guys did it with so much praise, and I thought I was the only one who could do it. It's gotta be fortunate for you if you're 6 feet tall as a trans man. I doubt that's the norm. Sounds like this guy's like around my size. Wouldn't imagine he'd get too much argument about telling people he's a man. But some people are really dedicated to hating trans people. It sounds like your mother doesn't want you. She wants a U-shaped doll she can dress up and control. Parents who can't accept the independence of their offspring shouldn't get to be anywhere near their kids. Point is, you are who you say you are, and no amount of abuse will ever change that. If your mom can't deal with that, then tough shit. Alright, well anyway, let me know what you think if you have anything to say about it. But that is about all the time I have for you today. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you liked the video, please give it a like. If you have something to say about the stories or about my content in general, please let me hear it in the comments. This is a new subject, so I'd like to know what you think. But I feel like it's very similar to Am I the Asshole, so not that much of a departure. If you're new here, please consider subscribing, because my growth is so stagnant right now. And big thanks also to my awesome patrons who give me money directly over on Patreon, so I can keep doing this for a living. Really helps me out. And thanks to new patron, John Yorkie, whose name I see in my comments all the time already. Have a great day, everyone, and be careful what you do in your own house. There might be kids spying on you outside.